Okay, so our today's workshop. Oh, first of all, I'm Hasmik. I work at EasyDmark. Uh, I've been telling people what our company does. It's an email security company. And I am the content team lead over there. I've been in the company for less than a year, so I'm not a guru of any kind, but I know how to write, okay? So, and also I know how to write about topics that I know jack shit about. So I've been working as a freelance writer for since 2020. The the time when we were all at home, and my writing skills really developed at that time because the company I was working for back then threw all kinds of topics at us. So this I'm telling you so that you know why I can't be standing here, okay? So I devised a system to find out, to learn, and to write about things that I didn't know existed yesterday. Okay, so, and then in 2021, in September, I started working in EasyDmark. I didn't know anything about cybersecurity, what email security is. The company does email security and works with DMARC protocol. And I was a bit confused why they chose me. But I was sure that it was possible for me to learn everything from scratch and just be as good as possible and become as good as possible day by day. Let's see what our presentation is about. The title says it, is Tech in Plain Language and How to Write IT Blogs That Everyone Wants to Read. But we have to define what the plain language is, and that's what we're gonna do today. So everybody probably in their life, at school, at the university, all of you probably had a time when you were frustrated with... Guys, I didn't record my screen, sorry. That was a mistake, okay? That was a... Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, let's see. Okay, there we go. Record video. Okay, cool. I hope it works. So, Tech in Plain Language. So you were probably, everyone was frustrated with convoluted texts, like texts in our history books or geography, or probably when you read laws and there was a bunch of, there were a bunch of words just stuck together and just hefty sentences that you were trying to, decipher before you could read it, like understand it. So these are like three things that I'm gonna tell you why it was so hard to study. You have probably all hated philosophy. Who hated philosophy at the university? Thanks. So you probably know what I'm talking about. Can I have a cheer if you know? Oh, okay. Okay, probably. So, and why laws and taxes don't make sense nowadays when you read them and you want to understand, like you really want to understand what those laws speak about, and then you don't. Okay, let's read a few examples of those things. This part is in Armenian. I'm sorry if anyone watching will have issues understanding this part, but the whole thing is about why it's so confusing to read convoluted texts. ԽՍՀՄ կառավարության որոշմամբ 1947 թվականի խորհրդային Հայաստան պետք է ներգաղթեն եւս շուրջ 63000 սփյուռքահայեր, սակայն մի շարք պատճառներով հանրապետությունը կարողացավ ընդունել միայն 25000 մարդու, իսկ 1948 թվականին ներգաղթեց 10000 մարդ։ Քանի միտք կա այս նախադասության մեջ։ 3 Կարար լիներ 3 նախադասություն։ Ինչի չդնել why not put like there are 3 things said, like 3 ideas in this one sentence. It's one sentence, you guys. Why not make it into 3 sentences, you know? Similarly, like clauses everywhere, you can see, oh, yeah. So there are many clauses here. Why use so many clauses when you could just simplify things and tell it in a humane, readable format? Similarly, any law book you open, you will have stuff like this. Like, this is one sentence. Can you imagine that? Can you read it and understand it? I don't know. It's hard. And even like this is even longer, you see? Even English texts. Persons taking no active part in the hostilities, including members of armed forces who have laid down their arms and those placed hors de combat by sickness, wounds, detention, or any other cause, shall in all circumstances be treated humanely without any... You can't even read it in one breath, but a sentence is a breath, right? You read it from the beginning to the end, and it needs to have some, you know, structure you could hold on to. Even law textbooks, you guys, the sentences are shorter, but they are as hefty as they can become. This textbook presents contemporary issues related to IHL, the International Humanitarian Law, in an accessible and comprehensive manner in line with the ICRS's reading of the law. In line with this part could become easily like into another sentence, or just reword the sentence to make it more comprehensible so that when a person reads it for the first time, they understand it. Our hope is that a better understanding of the way IHL applies blah, blah, blah could just be, we hope that you blah, blah, blah. So basically, you as a writer have to think about the person who's going to read that piece of writing. So, surprise, surprise. You don't have to break your brain trying to understand even even challenging topics, let alone things that could be just broken down into like 3 different sentences, you know? Even if it's IT, even if it's email security, even if it's, you know, anything else, you could just write in a simple manner so that a person who reads it first understands it. And the industry doesn't matter, really. You just have to, as a writer, understand what you're writing about and think about the person that's going to read it. So, let's rewire our brain. Do you, like, let's just mix it up a little bit. Do you know why, like, could you tell me a couple of things why writers would choose to write in an incomprehensible manner? Like, why would someone choose? Anyone?
Maybe Because they think that the reader already knows something related to the topic.
Probably.
For example, me as a recruiter, when I talk to engineers, they talk to me either as if I don't understand anything at all in life, or they talk to me as if I already know the things they know, which I of course don't, because if I would know that, I'd be an engineer myself. So most probably that's because whoever writes the text or speaks, they think that they know that you know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But most probably you have to think of these people as people that have some idea, but not that deep. So
Okay.
that might help you to be more plain when you're writing something.
That's a valid proposition. Thank you. So that's one thing why that would happen. And I agree that I will talk about it a bit later, that you should know your audience. So when, for example, you're a recruiter, you have recruited a few engineers probably already, and you know the main things. So the person talking to you should take that into account, right? Another reason, anyone? Yeah?
You know, there's this saying, I'm sorry I wrote you a long email. I didn't have time for a shorter one. I think it actually takes a lot of editing to make it clear.
Exactly.
Simple,
Yeah. You have to kill your darlings. You write sentences and then you go and delete them, okay? That's a valid argument as well. But there are other things too, probably. And one of those things could be just to seem superior than the reader, right? Did you have any any teachers that would talk to you in large words and stuff so that they could? Probably yes. Some of you did, some of you didn't. But that's the issue. So when we read academic texts, they are usually so hefty and so. Hi. So they are hefty, and that's because the academic society is going to read that, and they are going to think that the person who wrote, if the person wrote in a simpler manner, they would probably think that they didn't know good words, they don't have vocabulary or stuff. But when we're writing for blogs, it's not like that. Whatever you write, ordinary people are going to read those things, and you have to adjust your writing style. The other thing could be the writing style. For example, many renowned writers just have this nice flow of words. They are heavy, yes, but they use words that you don't hear every day, but it's readable, again. So that could be a stylistic choice. So what should we do in blog writing, in content writing, and in copywriting to be approachable, to make our text approachable? First thing I did is learn about first principles thinking. That's a bit of knowledge that cannot be, like first principle is a bit of knowledge that cannot be deduced from any other proposition or assumption. That means that you just break down the topic so much that you cannot deduce that bit of information from any other any other place. So here where it came to me that research should be, we should begin the research from higher up from the topic and then just break the topic down as much as possible. For example, are you up for an experiment? Okay. Can you suggest any topic that comes to your mind, and we'll do a research with you here.
What about talent marketing, maybe?
Okay, let's do, like, any other ideas, anything that you... Talent marketing. Okay, let's do talent marketing. I don't know anything about talent marketing, so let's just start with a simple Google search, you know. So what is talent marketing? Let's just open a few top articles that could help us to just start understanding that topic. Okay, so so there is a guide to talent marketing, etc. And then it says what is talent marketing, right? And then examples. Is it suitable for my industry? So talent marketing could be in any industry. If, like, we are deducing things, right, about this topic that we don't know anything about. And then, see, communication, healthcare, and you gain a bit of understanding what this topic is all about. How does talent marketing work? There are probably steps here, and you just, can you see how this outline kind of forms in your head? So the next step is to put that outline down on a document so that you can, you know where to start and where to end your article. So, profile, pics, whatever. Okay, so this one resource isn't enough because, like, there might be ideas that aren't included here, so you have to go through many resources to just start understanding. This is the research process that everyone isn't spending enough time on. Maybe, like, in other articles, you would gain any other knowledge that could help make your article more cohesive and more unique, because there is so much information all over the place and you can just find anything that you want. And it's imperative that you use many sources to make your outline first. Okay, that's a bit about, you just have to break down the concepts into smaller chunks and try to tackle those chunks one by one. If it was, let's say, DMARC protocol, you would go and read up about DMARC protocol. I'm saying something that you probably, most of you wouldn't have heard, but that shouldn't scare you, okay? You can find any information. And when you already start understanding, forming that understanding in your mind, put it down on a paper and just, not a paper, but a virtual paper probably. And then just try to break down the concept even more. Okay? So when you have the research and you have the knowledge and you already, like, can navigate in that new topic of yours, here comes the plain language idea, what that is. So plain language is writing designed to ensure the reader understands as quickly, easily, and completely as possible. Is it plain enough? Okay, so I haven't met anyone that understands a topic and cannot write in plain language if they try. Okay, anyone can do this plain language thing and go ahead in their writing career or just have more understandable papers and if you are a student, or books if you are a scientist, or any other specialty that you want. So yeah, we already covered here, but I also want to mention that being non-native may result in redundancies and long sentences, and because it's harder to navigate in a language that you are a bit less familiar with. But that doesn't mean that non-native writers cannot write good articles. So yeah. And also the most fun one, to fill in words for pay. Most writers are paid per word, so many writers don't even bother just editing out because it takes time, as you said, and just, why edit the words out if you can keep them in to gain more money? There are other things too, but let's just pass this thing. So, our part 3 is about writing in plain language, and just we'll be viewing some texts here. So let's just first of all speak about the points that you have to keep in mind while aspiring for plain language writing. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this plain language concept just came about in 2010s in the USA, when someone in the government realized that their law acts and governmental agencies talk to each other like they are aliens or something. So they put down this concept, and there are some points to adhere to if you want your writing to be considered a plain writing. So the topic we already discussed, that you have to, no matter the topic, you have to do your research before you start writing. Someone mentioned writing for, not writing, but talking to a person as if they don't know anything. But first of all, you have to understand the topic and be able to explain it to a 5-year-old, to be able to write in this plain language concept, to use this concept. But, not all our audiences are 5-year-olds, so we have to adjust that style and just deduce from what we know if the reader is a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced reader. And choice of topic is also one thing that you could make it either beginner friendly or advanced person friendly. When those sentences are in a book that 13-year-old should read, they shouldn't be in an academic language, right? They shouldn't be so convoluted, so long, and so demanding to understand, so that you have to translate it from the same language to the same language so that you understand the concept. The second is the audience that we talked about, and the structure, basically. The structure is what we already glossed over. That's the outline, when you break down the topic to understandable chunks and make the logic that the outline connects to each other, and that the text flows in a logical manner so that you can hopefully achieve the goal that your article is setting. And the next is when you already write about that topic, when you write the article, keep in mind brevity, because without brevity you wouldn't be able to be as plain as possible. there are sentences that use filler words, words that could, like, expressions that you put in without realizing that this 4 or 5 word expression could reduce to 1 or 2 words. Okay, so keep in mind brevity, and finally when you write kill your darlings, just delete anything that you deem that could be deleted. Okay, so let's go to, wait just a second. Okay, we have a text here. It's quite small, right? It's an edited text. It's a real life piece of content that went on our blog. Let's just, and you see that it's already edited. I kept this purposefully so that you could see what our editor removed. And let's go. So a small company can shut down all operations within 6 months of being hit by a data leak. First of all, you don't get hit by a data leak. Data just leaks. Data leak is, you know what that is? Anyone? Could explain? Okay.
Yeah, like if you're getting hacked and your information is exposed to hackers pretty much.
Okay, it's data breach, but there is also data leak that can be unintentional, or like it's because of some problem in your network or something, or a malicious employee that wanted that information leak just gave it away, or unintentional when a hacker talked to your employee via email and just they clicked on a phishing link or something, or talked to a person that they liked and told them some information that they were not supposed to. Anyway, that's the leak. The breach is when a hacker purposefully hacked your system to get the information. So, so basically, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, you could just use a word. That's one way of editing. For example, the first consequence. See, this was the bold part was a keyword that should be used in this text, but it didn't fit here in like in a logical manner, and it basically distorted the sentence in a way that made it hefty. That's why this keyword was edited out in a hope. See that consequences of data breach was and then used in the second line. Okay. So instead of cramming the keywords here, our editor made them like separate. And then identity theft is one of the most severe consequences of a data breach. That here is a sentence that makes sense. Instead of the first consequences of data breach are identity theft. So it's the same words, just made it more logical. Like who did what does what. You know, as I was saying, the sentence should be one idea, and that one idea shouldn't be convoluted so that you don't understand who did what or what happened in general. So that's the identity theft part. So and then here and how to apply one for your business can be blah blah, and that was removed because it was too long and too many words were used. Any other interest? Okay, see this part, lack of privacy. Can you see that the original made made this whole paragraph into one sentence, and our editor added the second sentence, which clarified the first one, and separated it into 2 sentences.
So can I ask something?
Sure, yeah, questions welcome.
Thank you. Does that mean that short is not always, like short text is not always the best option? So here your editor basically used more letters, like made the text bigger but more understandable. So
Yes.
we should kind of aim it to be more understandable rather than just short.
Exactly, exactly. It's not the number of words that counts. It's the way that the text makes you understand concepts that counts. Okay, no matter if you can explain the text in 3 sentences and then just cram it into a shorter 1 sentence, but it's not, you don't understand anything when you read it first. Okay, exactly. That's one thing that is a misconception in this plain language and short and brevity and stuff. So just keep that in mind as well. This sentence was okay, but our editor added a bit of a punch to this sentence, because you can find yourself in deep problems. Not the best word choice, right? But hot water just sounds more entertaining and more, you understand what that is. And swimming in hot water isn't easy. So yeah, if you're responsible for the financial information of individuals and third parties, so basically that allows others to backtrack their expenses. This part was removed and just added individuals and third parties, because it makes the whole sentence more centered to the reader. Basically, you're talking about the reader in a direct manner. So you should also aim to talk to the reader in blog articles as directly, as straightforward as you can, because not having that straightforward writing style could just make the reader drop the article and just move away from your website. They won't even care to continue browsing and converting, for that matter. So basically, why we write blog articles? To make our readers, like, for several reasons, but the main thing as a business, it should be to make the reader to convert into a customer, right? No matter if you're writing for business customers or general audience. Even blogs, personal blogs that talk about, I don't know, lifestyle and stuff, they also aim to convert for someone to buy something, for someone to find a new method to do something, and then use their product to make that method apply for them. So if the person leaves your text early and then goes away, that's just not good for the overall business. So yeah, the main thing I want to pass on to you, so that one idea that you could take away from this workshop is make each word count, okay? So don't write words, write ideas. Make those ideas as crisp, as meaningful as possible. I was gonna say short, but short doesn't matter. It just needs to be meaningful. I think I'm gonna conclude this part. Hopefully this was useful for you, and open the floor for questions, anything that you could think about, any questions about email security, cybersecurity, anything. About writing, about life, anything that you want. Come on. Yeah.
Do you ever disagree with your editor? And then what happens next? How do you solve it?
That's an interesting question. I do trust my editor very much, and as a team lead, I have times when I have to explain the edited parts to the writers, why this works and the one that they didn't, they wrote didn't work. So yes, it happens, and then not in a major, like this small things that she removes and adds, because if we go after each word, we wouldn't produce any content, right? But basically, when you disagree about a word choice, it's either because the editor didn't grasp the topic itself, so the general idea of the topic, or they are just nitpicking. But I'm lucky to have an editor that thinks very closely like me, and so I don't usually talk to the editor. I usually talk to the writer to explain why this and that happened. And we even have this, I'm gonna find this thing. We sent out a series of notes to our writers recently. So, and each note was covering one topic about the issues that we have found over time. So, first thing was about, just a second, I'm just searching. Okay, so the first one was about word filler and fluff. That's unmissable. If you once see filler and fluff, you can't stop seeing word filler. So that's not something that writers usually disagree with. They just try to learn, and we're lucky enough to not have so many problems with writers after editing. That's the first thing we wanted to pay attention to. And then it was keyword link and placement, if that's interesting to anyone, because SEO writing can get heavy, and keywords can make sentences not make sense sometimes. So you have to find ways, creative ways to incorporate keywords without losing your touch with the article and with the intent of the reader. Formatting and inconsistencies. Like, for example, we decided that our website should have the word cybersecurity always written in one word, okay? So if we find at any place, at any spot on our website, in our articles or elsewhere, like on landing pages and stuff, the word cybersecurity written as two separate words or with a hyphen, we definitely remove that. So that's a no-brainer for us. So we basically try to make checklists for writers so that they could check themselves before sending the article to us, so that there are no discrepancies and no issues with the writer, between the writer and the editor in the end. So we have this whole brief thing going on. You can see it here. So we have this, there should be article description, obviously, and category where the article is going to be placed on our site and stuff. And then a lot of keywords, and then internal linking keywords. And also when we assign the article, we also put the outline, the general outline, because if you let the writer do their own outline, it's not probably going to work, because okay, if you are planning the content as meticulously as we do, each article should be what it's intended to be, and they cannot go away from the outline. So that's the thing. And then we put sources, like general sources they can use, and then when they go do their research more in depth, they add the sources and mention other places they found information from. So 1, 2, or 3 articles, top ranking articles, won't cut the chase, because we also check how they, not only how they put sentences together and put keywords in the sentences, but we are an expert website about cybersecurity, and we have to be, people should be able to trust us, basically. So we monitor that outline very meticulously. And then we also talked about, obviously, like grammar mistakes, typos, spelling errors, and stuff. There are, we have Grammarly, Hemingway app, and we check grammar and typos mistakes also, like in a machine checks it, and then the editor checks it, and then the machine checks it again. So we don't have anything slipping out of our control, okay? And then obviously the research, and that's all. So we put together one document that, and we made the writers adhere to that, so that we, like, in the end, we don't have too many discrepancies and arguments around what the editor edited out and what they didn't. So, for example, if our writer asked why our editor removed 2 keywords back to back and made it into a better sentence, we could answer that, like, directly, why they did that. So usually we try to avoid arguments, because in the end, everyone is trying to improve, right? I hope that answers your question. It was a bit long, but I hope it had, words flying away from me now. Sorry. Any questions? Okay.
I'm curious how you would, during the hiring, how you hire a good writer. Was the criteria for you to what you pay most attention?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the hiring process goes like this. They send us the CV and their previous work. That's the first screening part. And then we talk to them, to the possible candidates, about cybersecurity, and make sure that they are dedicated and they can find strength to navigate the huge topic, okay? Because if you are not interested in cybersecurity, it's not gonna, like, your writing's not gonna be interesting at all. So make sure that they wanna write for us, okay? And then we give them a test article. That test article is similar to what they would face if they become our freelance employee. And we check, the editor checks, I read through, and we see how well the brief was basically followed. And finally, we don't cut as many candidates as you might think, because one article says nothing because, you know, the topic, probably they grow into the topic in 3, 4, 5 articles, and they do better than they did in the beginning. But also, we first of all pay attention when they give us the test article back. We pay attention to all the criteria that we set, like word filler, research depth, and stuff. So the things that I already mentioned. So if it's minimal viable, we usually work for a couple of times with the writer, and then we decide if we want to continue working with them. So yeah, and one thing that just is adjacent to what you asked, it's the plagiarism and boilerplating. Who knows what boilerplating is? It's basically taking the same, okay, let's see. There is one decent article here, right, about talent marketing. So basically what that is taking this article and just making it so that the plagiarism checker cannot catch that it's plagiarized. So basically changing words, sentence structure, basically what most of us did at the university. So, or just giving the text to an AI machine so that they change words into their synonyms or something. We catch this, believe me. So basically, if we see that, we dismiss the writer right away. Yeah. Because we read all the sources, and your ear just rings when it's boilerplated. For example, if the same sentence structure is made with synonyms, you would just at once it would ring a bell. Our editor and me, when I make outlines, we read the whole the sources that are available. If the writer can do it so that we don't catch it, that's rare, but they get away with it. But we usually are very strict on this matter.
Catch it, then the reader also can't catch it, so there's no problem there.
Exactly, but it does.
There is no technical.
It's not fair. Yeah.
A problem if the reader reads something that was written elsewhere.
Yeah.
They wouldn't notice.
But sometimes it's so apparent, especially when they do it with AI. There are AI readers that. Thanks. 5 minutes. So just one more question probably, and then we'll disperse. So, what was I saying?
There's an AI
that
does something.
Yeah. So you put the text in a text field, and then the AI gives out a boilerplated version of your text. So if AI does that, probably the plagiarism checker should also catch the issue. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but we also ourselves go back to the sources and check. And that usually works. We caught one writer doing that recently. Any questions? Okay.
I wonder, what do you write about, about cybersecurity? As I think it should be more like manuals, how to keep your data safe or something.
That also applies, but you can go to our blog and see what we cover. Our blog used to be a hub for email security specialists and IT specialists that want to set up their email security protocols, right? Before I came in, because like our support team, our CEO, CTO, and other team members wrote a bunch of articles that were closely following that email security protocols topic. Then we expanded the blog. It's quite entertaining, actually, if you go through it. It might not seem as such from the first sight, from the topic itself. But, for example, if you want to learn about data breach, as we talked already, data breach has phases, for example. You can go through these phases and read. Like any other blog that you would write, we just break down the topic and give useful information. For example, what do you write about?
Different. Food blog, mainly.
Food blogs, okay. So let's say if you want to cover Mediterranean cuisine, what do you start from?
I have some tricks. I think when you search something and the first article pops up, it has a reason that it's the first, and I read that whole thing so I can have some information about that thing, and then I start read other articles, and so I can decide what information I want to put in my article. So, and I also insert like humor, like maybe I quote
a lot of it. Yeah, you can make any topic entertaining. Yeah, I see. That's a really good way to engage the person, and that also depends on your audience. So we cannot go about just laughing cybersecurity, but there are some tricks to make those topics interesting, and if the flow is right and if everything is as you've intended it to be, one humor per 3 articles won't make it bad. And also, like, you just have to imagine that person reading this article, just sitting at their desk and reading it, or reading it on the subway, on their phones or something. So just being into the, like, putting yourself into the skin of your reader just helps a lot. Time over. Well, we had one more question over there. Can we have that? Okay? Yeah.
So I work in IT security as well, and the challenge I find with the texts is that you obviously need to have a lot of technical details about how something works, how malware works, and then it's hard to make the text actually compelling to touch pain points or something. So do you have some guidance on how to balance that?
Making text compelling in cybersecurity is making the text all about that person's security or the person's business's security. And if you touch the person at a level where they can feel the urge, the need to implement your solution, you've done a pretty good job. So if food blogging is all about touching people's emotions and their travel ideas and, you know, whatever, I like food. Cybersecurity is all about making them understand that there are threats all around us. So keeping the reader in your article should be, like, what we do should be factual. For example, inserting a part about how many phishing attacks there were from the start of the year, for example. And then how many, like, what % of companies get attacked every day, or stuff like that. So factual pain points. Compelling arguments why you need to know about the issue that we're writing. So the introduction is very important, like in any other article, but especially here. It should be grasping, like it should be compelling enough so that the person continues reading about it. So usually that we cover the topics, as I mentioned, from top to bottom. We go over all cybersecurity issues like cyber attack types, for example, and there are dozens of cyber attack types that you could go into. Okay, we can continue talking about this, but you basically understand it's more factual and technical in our sense, but you have to find that hook, if you will, in your topic that you're writing about. That find the hook, and then everything will fall into place. Thank you.